Hello everybody, and welcome to my tutorial, or I should say my tutorial breakdown, because it's not so much a tutorial, more like an educational video about a specific template inside the game that you can then take these things and apply them to other aspects of the core editor. So the first thing I want to say is that you are probably going to find some of the things I talk about in other tutorials, but what's going to be different about this tutorial versus other tutorials is that the other tutorials describe how to do specific things, like create your own custom look to a gun, or change the VFX, or maybe make a custom NPC. But in this tutorial, you'll be able to take everything that you learn here and hopefully apply these to other aspects of the core editor. So for today's tutorial, what we're going to be using is the NPC Elemental Lava template. And the reason why I like this template is because there are components within its hierarchy that you will not find in other templates. And although these are mostly cosmetic components, once you understand how they work, you'll be able to apply that knowledge to templates of similar types to give yourself a more customizable feel. So for starters, what is a template? From my understanding, a template is a collection of digital objects that are assigned scripts and different components in order to give it a specific function. In this case, it's an NPC. So all these scripts and all these components are designed to make it act like an NPC. So if we click on the parent folder, we can scroll down and look at some properties that are underneath it. Now, two collections of properties you'll see in every other thing inside the core editor, such as the world position property group and the scene collection. These are pretty self-explanatory, so we're not going to get into them. What we are going to get into is the custom properties. Every single custom property is associated to a script or component within the template, and so therefore the custom properties are unique to every template that they're under. The first one we're going to talk about is the object ID. Now, it may seem self-explanatory, but it's actually extremely important because this object ID is what associates it to other templates. The team ID is the friend or foe. And by the way, the red writing means that they are integers or numbers. Current state, I don't know, but we're going to read it. This is the eternal state of the NPC, such as sleeping, engaging, attacking, etc. Okay, so I would assume that in the script, probably the NPC AI server script, you can assign an integer to this in order to give it an internal state, as it says here, such as sleeping, engaging, attacking, etc. The current health is because it's a damageable object, it has a total maximum health. The move speed, turn speed, etc., etc. The logical period means how often the script thinks, so to say. And yeah, all the other ones are pretty self-explanatory. When we get down here, you see is pushable, and that means can your character bump into him and move him? Like, can they occupy the same space or not? If you uncheck it, it means that you can stand inside of the NPC. And then you got your reward type, reward resource amount, and loot ID, etc., etc. And right down here, you can see what specific codes are assigned to the custom properties. So if you know how to code, these are very useful for you. The next one we want to talk about is the NPC AI server. And this is your script that is associated, what I think is associated with the NPC spawner and the logic of the movement area within that NPC spawner. I don't know much about scripting. I'm not a huge scripting guy, but if you go down in here, you can kind of guess what it's about. Because you have your collider, so you have your assigned collider here, you have your assigned trigger here, and you have your another script as its attack component. I think this is the logic of this NPC. The NPC attack server is also pretty easy to guess. It's all the information that has to do with its damage or its hostility to the players. You have your script for attacking, you have your script for the acid reference, all right. Yes, and then this script is whether or not it's destructible. It's similar to the destructible box. Reference to root, the template where the most makes sense. Okay, so this is the root template, which means that it's associated to the other template. So it basically, this template takes scripts from another template, and the other template is the MPC elemental lava. So it's referencing itself in order to gain scripts. Damage to players, damage to NPCs. These are all the VFX associated with its attack. So when it attacks, it has the projectile body, it has the muzzle flash, impact surface, etc., etc. You can change these with your own custom. So if you go into your project content or core content and you type in a specific VFX, you can then drag these into here. Actually, I think you have to drag them first into the world, and then you drag them from the hierarchy down into this in order to reassign them a specific VFX. And then this is all the properties that have to do with its projectiles, because it's a projectile-based attack. And once again, you have all your specific lines of command coding that are associated to these custom properties. The client context folder is a type of parent folder, and it can exist in two states. It can be either networked or not networked. And essentially what the client context does is it manages the children so that they know how to spawn on the server of the client, and it also dictates if the children can be changed or deleted after they spawned. So underneath you see you have the MPCI client, which is the script that we have up here, and we have another MPC attack client script, which are essentially the same thing as these ones here, but these are the server scripts and these are the client scripts. Another thing that's important to note is that the animated mesh costume also dictates how a socket is affected by an animation as well. And what a socket is it's a folder or group of 3D objects that are assigned to a specific segment of your skeletal mesh. And Core is really good in that they named all of these they named all of their sockets corresponding body parts to that skeletal mesh, but you have to type them, and a thing that you need to know is that you have to type them exactly as Core has them in order for them to function as intended. Otherwise, you have to go into the actual code itself and rescript your own individual names in order to get them to be what you want to name them. However, I don't know how to do that. The good thing though is that each socket is fully customizable. You can swap and change out all the 3D objects to whatever you want inside core content, just so long as you don't mess with the original template. I mean, you can change the original template if you want to, but it's not recommended. If you check out my last tutorial video, I explained exactly how to create your own template from an existing template inside the project content tab. So with the knowledge we've learned, we're going to go ahead and apply that knowledge to create our own example. If you go over to the project content tab, you can type in NPC, and then we can drag in something like the NPC skeleton swordsman. Over at your hierarchy, we can scroll down in the template and scroll down to the client context, and then again to the geo root, and we will see that we only have 3 sockets, as compared to our lava golem, which has all the sockets. As I mentioned earlier, this is why I like this template the most. Referencing our lava golem, we can then determine which socket we want to add to our new mesh. And for this example, I'm going to use the right shoulder. So you want to go to your GeoRoot, you want to right click it, you want to go new group, and after you do this, it's going to de-instance it. If you want to create your own template, you go to NPC Skeleton Swordsman, you click, my apologies, you actually want to right click the template folder. You want to go down to new template from object, copy template, and rename it whatever you want. And the reason why you want to do this is so that you can create an identical template copy of the original template that you can change to however you want without affecting the original template. Now, again, referencing our, referencing our lava golem, we can go down to the sockets and just pick a socket that we want to add. And this, for this example, I'm going to add the left shoulder. So you scroll down to your georoot of your skeleton, you right-click the georoot and type and click New Group. It's going to de-instance it, which the purpose of de-instancing is so that you can make changes to your template without permanently changing the template. And you want to type it exactly as the socket is typed in the Lava Golem, because Lua is case sensitive. So once you're done with that, you want to hop over to the core content tab where you'll drag in a random mesh. For this example, we're going to use a cube. The reason why I drag it into the world space is because when working with templates, especially community content templates, if you don't first sometimes drag in the mesh to the real world space before dragging it from the hierarchy to the group, the template doesn't know where to reference the mesh from. So now we're going to drag our template into position. And another tip for you guys, when you're dealing with sockets, these sockets represent the mesh's point of view rather than yours. So because from his perspective, this is his left shoulder, this is where this cube will go. We're just going to go ahead and scale it, R to scale, drag it into position, update our template by right-clicking and go to Update Template from Object. And then you'll see when we press play, the cube should move with the animation and in position. As you can see, it's working correctly. The cube is being affected appropriately by the animation, and it's staying in place. The reason why he's kind of moving crazy like that is because I don't have a nav mesh, but everything is working appropriately. All right, and that completes our tutorial. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. I also stream core tutorials every Wednesday on my Twitch, Arky2125. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, please do so down below. And thanks for watching.